the unspoken rules of thrifting and secondhand shopping that I wish everyone knew about. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gitte Marie and I wanted to talk about this for a really long time. I know I talk about secondhand clothing, thrifting, and generally just buying pre-loved stuff quite a lot. And I'm not done. I have recently had some wild experiences, both in thrift stores as well as on secondhand apps. And I feel like we all need some ground rules. You know, I routinely run into people that just did not get the memo. Let me know if you have other things you wish other people knew about thrifting, or like just if you could erase a certain type of behavior from a charity shop or from Vinted or whatnot, let me know what that would be. And before we really get into it, the last couple of videos I've had some like major sound issue. We're trying something new. I have an external mic and hopefully this is gonna be better. Let me know down below if this is the way forward, if this is better, because like your girl is trying to do the best that she can. I'm gonna be annoyed and complaining in this video. If you don't want a complaining video, this is not for you. If you want to complain with me, let's go. I'll be distinguishing between like charity shops and vintage shops that are more curated, as well as vintage shops where typically, you know, like you just buy from another person. Because I hope you agree that different rules apply for different kind of secondhand scenarios. If you're talking to a person on Vinted, it's not the same as going down to a curated vintage store and talking to those people. And again, it's not the same either when you talk to volunteers at a charity shop. Different stuff. But one thing that has definitely, and I think this might be the biggest one thing that just tends to grind my gear is when I see people in charity shops treating it like it's a regular store, both in terms of the customer service that they expect and how much people can help them find the stuff that they need, but treating it like a store just gives me the absolute ick. It's also a bang-on way to make sure that you are not getting a good experience or that you're not finding anything that you need. So no, they don't have things in other sizes than what is available. It is literally donated, girl. What do you mean? I was recently in a thrift store where someone was pissed that this t-shirt they wanted wasn't in a larger size. Is this real? But honestly, this applies to whenever you talk to another person on a secondhand app, on Vinted, etc. Really applies here as well. It is not a store. You're just talking to someone who wants to sell from their wardrobe. Just do not expect it to be like a store. I've been on both ends of this problem specifically, but I have dealt with people that expect the sort of the customer's always right kind of mentality. I've dealt with it as a seller. Now, I don't sell a lot of stuff on Vinted, but one of the things I sold last summer was a shirt made from like a twill material, flimsy little material, and I marked it as, you know, worn because it's been worn. Someone bought it. I hope you're sad for story time. So this is specifically what I'm talking about. So someone buys it for like 4 quid. No, 2. It was cheap. And like she receives it and instantly files a complaint against me because there was a hole in the material. But the hole, she took a photograph of it, was this tiny like flaw error in the material. 2 of the loops were combined. So one of the loops was twice as big as the other ones, but it's microscopical. It's so tiny. And she hits me with this weird, the customer's always right spiel. It's like, girl, this is not a store. You got something worn. That kind of vibe is also not okay in a real store, by the way, but it's definitely not transferable to when you talk to volunteers in a charity shop or to people just selling their crap online. It doesn't make sense. Get it together. Okay, I've been talking about this for a while. You would think we wouldn't have to say this, but you would be amazed as well as to the lengths people go to be annoying. That is applicable in many situations, by the way. But the donation box for charity shops, it's not a bin. It's not a trash bin. No, babe, it is wild what people try to donate when in fact they're just putting their garbage in there. Either they don't know or they don't care that volunteers have to sort through it. I judge you if you throw your garbage into a donation box for a charity shop. There's really no saving you. I'm sorry, that is proper crazy. And to that, because I have something else, don't try to donate or sell things that are so incredibly worn out that it's not for anyone but you, babe. I've seen this on Facebook Marketplace a lot, and if you scour secondhand apps, you probably have seen this as well. But people try to sell their worn out slippers for half the price they were from new, but they have toe marks on them. Yesterday on Facebook Marketplace, I saw someone trying to sell a pair of like swimming shoes, but they were completely worn down and they were brown on the inside from people wearing them so much. Like, how do you expect to get 7 quid for them? Like, who's buying them, you weirdo? Seems like something you would sell for a completely other side. Okay, now this is something I say every time we talk about secondhand fashion, basically, and I want to just like jam it in here, even though it's not like a rule of thrifting, but it's more so like a mentality thing. Donating things to a thrift shop doesn't create a green alibi to keep over-consuming. I've seen a lot of creators talk about how when you donate something, it's inherently a good deed, you're doing a good thing, so you're donating something which clears room in your closet to buy new stuff. And it gets a new life, like other people get to enjoy it when you donate it, so that's fantastic. The thing is, we are producing 100 billion pieces of clothing every single year, and there is no infrastructure in the world available to deal with the volume of clothing that we are producing and that we're putting through the system. So many charity shops are overflowing with clothing. There's not enough time or volunteers to properly distribute it. And at the end of the day, it often ends up in textile landfills because no one is interested in buying worn out clothing from Shein that is already falling apart. Simply just donating things to thrift shops, while it might sound like it's always a good deed, it comes with an inherent problem of volume. If we buy less and we buy better, it's a completely different thing, but that's just not what's happening. Anyway, it's not really a rule. It's just like we need to wake the fuck up when it comes to our mentality towards clothing. Specifically for thrift shops and charity shops, one thing that we need to be aware of, conscious of, is lead paint in ceramics. So this is more so like a safety awareness issue. But if you thrift old ceramic plates, pots, mugs, all that kind of thing, and they don't even have to be that old, it can be a really great idea to test them for lead paint because a lot of it has lead in it. And you can get small test strips to see if it has lead. And I need to be better at this myself because I don't always do it, just full disclosure. But when we talk about thrifting a lot, I think it makes sense to mention, even though I'm not following my own example perfectly. But then at least I've given the information and tried to make people aware that this is something that we need to consider. I have some specific bowls that I know for a fact aren't lead free, and I've used them for so long. It's so annoying. And there's a lot of my stuff from thrift shops, charity shops that I haven't tested for lead, but I just know, right? So my logic here is that I simply avoid having hot foods in it and I just keep cold things in them instead. That is something that I do. And the pots and plates, I'm very, very certain has lead in it. I've promoted to plant holder or like plant bowl because it's really not worth it. Although it hurts my soul whenever I find something that's so beautiful. It's like from the 60s. It's amazing. And you just know it's a health hazard. Now, do I think we can also overdo it and be too scared of everything? A part of me thinks that as well. So like, I feel like everyone should apply their own common sense. You know, you can get lead test strips. Just check it out, see if it's something, and use your common sense. And that leads me to my next point, which is also about common sense. One of the questions I've been asked the most when it comes to secondhand furniture, specifically from charity shops, thrift stores, flea market, that kind of thing, is how do you know or how do you guarantee that there aren't bugs, pests, etc. in the furniture you bring into your home? And I guess the annoying answer is that you really don't ever know 100% for sure before you take it inside, before you see how the furniture reacts. But there are definitely things that you can check for and look out for before you get to that step. I've never had that problem myself. I've never heard of anyone in Denmark, where I live, that has that problem as well. And this might just be my own assumption here, but I don't think this is a widespread issue when it comes to secondhand pieces in Denmark. It's not a big thing. If you live in an area where this risk is much greater, obviously take that into account. But even though the risk isn't necessarily great where I live, this is what I do. I look for tiny entry holes. Sometimes small pests and bugs, they like gnaw their way into wood pieces. If I see them everywhere in a piece of furniture, it can both mean that there's still something inside, but it can also mean the structural integrity of the piece is just really fragile and it's going to fall apart really easily because the inside is hollow now. So I look for those tiny entry holes for sure. Then overall, I look for cleanliness. But I also kind of assume, I guess, that bed bugs, etc., doesn't exist in secondhand pieces. I've never heard of it, never heard of anyone who's dealt with it. So I don't know, man. Use your own common sense and look at the pieces that you're buying, examine them closely, turn them upside down, look on the bottom of it, like go through the steps to properly examine the piece that you're buying before you bring it into your home. Or if you have the opportunity to, leave it outside on your balcony, your terrace, your garden, like covered for rain and the weather, etc. But leave it outside for a while if that makes you more comfortable as well. Can also be an idea. Overall, I would say to trust your gut. If it gives you a weird vibe, then probably think twice. Really shitty advice, I'm aware. Anyway, now if we go back to Vinted and secondhand apps, can we agree that before we buy anything, before we make offers on anything, that everyone just reads the caption, the description of the product before we buy something? We look at the title of the product, we look at all the pictures, and we look at the caption. The amount of people I have seen talk about how they bought something and then later realized it was something completely different, or it wasn't in the condition that they expected, or it wasn't in the size that they expected, even though it was written in the product description. Everyone reads the description. And this is where I feel like I might be a hard ass. But if you buy something on my Vinted or whatnot, and you haven't looked at the size and you just bought it, and it's the right size that it says on the product, but it's not the size you anticipated it to be, you're not getting your money back. That's on you. That is all on you, babe. I've had this conversation with one person, but I've seen it's kind of become a widespread thing. I've seen more people deal with this. Even though it says so in the title and in the caption, these are a size 37 shoes. And someone buys them, you ship them to them, and then they text you back. They thought it was a different size, if they can get their money back. No, babe, you did this to yourself. No. You played yourself. Let me know what you would do in this situation, but I definitely feel like an overall unspoken but now spoken rule. Read the caption. We shouldn't say this, but you would be surprised. Asking for your money back in a charity store, I don't know, man. This is a tough one. If you get something on Vinted or you buy something in a curated store where people are paid to work there and it's a for-profit store, and you get something that didn't feel like what you thought it was going to be, or you find out something is wrong with it, you can obviously get your money back if there are flaws, etc., that were unanticipated or undescribed. Obviously, you can get your money back. That makes a lot of sense. Going back into a thrift store to get your money back because you found a flaw on something you got in a shop that's for charity, where everyone are volunteers, gives me it maybe depends on the product, but overall that is a no-go on my end. Let me know if you agree or disagree on this one, but I think it should be absolutely prohibited to go back into a charity shop where they sent the money to charity specifically and ask for your money back because the product wasn't quite what you expected it to be. And lastly, we have to agree all in all to be nice to the volunteers in charity shops. I see people once again kind of treating them like they're employees in a store, and they're not. They're spending their free time unpaid to stand there and help other people. So give them the benefit of the doubt if they're cranky. There is a charity shop I love going to. It has amazing furniture, but one of the volunteers that work there, she's kind of grumpy. She never says have a good day when I say have a good day, and it's really weird. But I sort of double down in the other direction if someone is being like grumpy or kind of rude, and I become even more pleasant. Maybe like at one point it clicks, just like, oh, okay, I feel like I might need to be pleasant. But no, I think it honestly just pisses her even more off, which is not my intention, but that is my first reaction when someone is kind of grumpy or rude, is to be even more polite. But matching back the rudeness is going to make me more rude than her, in my opinion. She's still a volunteer doing this for a charity organization. Like, my ego needs to be able to take that hit. Anyway, I would love to hear if you have any rules that you think should be on the unspoken rules of thrifting list. Let me know if there's anything you wish more people would get when it comes to thrifting, and let me know if you agreed with my takes here. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will see you guys next time. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then, bye.